Good morning.
Good morning.
Can you hear me? Okay, you sure? Okay. It's going to be tricky today because I have nowhere to clip my other half of my microphone, so I'm going to try to carry it and hopefully not drop it on the floor and rip it out of my head. So we'll see how that goes. Well, welcome to All Faiths Unitarian Congregation. I'm Regina, and happy Mother's Day to those of you who have happy mothers. So anyway, let's start again. Welcome to All Faiths Unitarian Congregation. My name's Regina Kilmartin, and I'll be your worship associate today. Here at All Faiths, you'll find a diverse and inclusive spiritual community where we welcome people with many beliefs. You can bring your whole self, your full identity, your questioning mind, and your expansive heart. At All Faiths, we have more than one way of experiencing the world and understanding the sacred. So no matter who you are, where you come from, where you are on your spiritual journey, and no matter whom you love, you are always welcome here. Do we have any first or second time visitors today visiting? Welcome. We're glad that you're with us. If anyone would like to know more about All Faiths, please stop and see Fran Way, who's in her membership corner back there. She'll be happy to give you all the information that you need. I have many announcements. Today is Share the Plate with Angel Wings. That's our Heart for the Homeless sponsor. Today, children are invited to join Kathy Fanny in the Robinson Room for our Child and Youth program. Tuesday, we will have a racial equity team meeting at 10 o'clock. Tuesday in the evening is going to be our life celebration, and we would really like people to attend. It's the wrap-up of Lee Interfaith for Empowerment's work, and we did a lot of work this year. We accomplished a lot. We got the city to adopt an affordable housing trust fund. Now we're nagging them as hard as we can to find a way to fund it and get it going. So that's Tuesday night at Covenant Presbyterian. It's right down the road down here. So if you plan to go, please let me know so we can give them a head count, because I think they'll have refreshments and they just need to know how much space. So that's the life celebration. Wednesday, our 10 o'clock scholar will be leading change with Reverend C.J. McGregor. Very important 4-session series. So if you're a leader or not a leader and thinking about being a leader, or you're a committee member or a volunteer, please plan to attend. It's going to be very informational. Tuesday afternoons, very importantly, we have Domino's at All Faiths at 2 o'clock. Friday, I don't know what I said. Friday at 2 p.m. Saturday is choir rehearsal here at All Faiths with Carlos. Another very important announcement. Next Saturday, 8 a.m., we are having a spring cleaning here at All Faiths. The building hasn't been deep cleaned in several years, since before COVID. We really need a lot of hands to help. We're going to just spruce it up. We own it now, so we want to be proud of it. If you have rakes, please bring rakes. We need to rake out the side yard over there. And I noticed that a lot of you forgot to sign up on the bulletin board last week for this event, so please sign up before you leave again today. Sundays here in the sanctuary, we have News Talk with Richard Keelan. And on May 16th, we have a new justice team starting. Right now we have the Climate Action Team, Hearts for the Homeless, and Racial Equity. We're going to be having an LGBTQ support group here. It's going to be called the Rainbow Connection, and Greg Monk will facilitate that, and the first meeting will be Monday, May 16th. So everyone is welcome to join that. And now, I have one more. Barb McFarland would like to make an announcement.
Hi, I just want to give a heads up that we're having another Habitat for Humanity event. It'll be Friday, May 20th. I'm supposed to be getting the information early this coming week on how to sign up and register. I'll make sure that Regina gets that out to everybody, but I wanted those that are interested to be looking for it Monday or Tuesday. Habitat is only allowing 7 people per team now. So if you're interested and want to do this, sign up right away. Thank you.
It's very rewarding. We did it a couple of years ago over in Cape Coral, painted a house, and it was great fun. So now, if you would, please rise and body your spirit as we sing together hymn number 361, Enter, Rejoice, and Come In. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Enter, rejoice, and come in.
Today will be a joy.
Would you like the chalice?
Enter, rejoice.
Just take, no, when I call you up, take the candle from there.
Open your ears to the song. Open your ears to the song. Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Open your hearts, everyone. Open your hearts, everyone. Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Don't be afraid of some change. Don't be afraid of some change. Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice, and come in.
And now, if you would please recite the words in your order of service as Wheezy Close comes to light our chalice. We kindle this flame with love for mothers and for mothers, past, present, and future. We kindle this flame in celebration of community and its generations. We kindle this flame with respect and support for the greater circle of life, of which we are all a part. I'm sorry, I'm way off today for some reason. If you would please sing hymn number 413 on the back of your order of service as the children join Kathy Fanny in the Robinson Room for their program.
Go now in peace, go now in peace. May the spirit of love surround you everywhere, everywhere you may go.
Each Sunday, we light candles for the joys and sorrows we have felt and would like to share with the congregation. If you'd like to light such a candle, please come forward.
Hi, I'm Marge DeGalbo, and my great joy has been having the privilege to work with Chris Stotler for the last 2 years on the board. I'd like to thank him on behalf of the whole congregation for his many years of service and dedication to this congregation. Thank you, Chris.
Thanks. Hi.
Hello, everyone. As you know, next Saturday I will be graduating from North Central University with my doctorate in education with emphasis in leadership and higher education. I leave tomorrow, and I will not be back for a while. Possibly in July I will come back. I haven't had a life since 2013, so I plan to get one in San Diego, where I've been multiple times. So, I mean, I went and found out that the graduation was going to be in San Diego. I have nothing else to do. I teach remotely I'm not coming back for a while. Let's see how this goes. So Mother's Day is today. I have my degree in tribute to my mother, the late Dr. Geraldine Lewis Gilliard, graduate of University of Miami and Palm Beach. University of Palm Beach. She had 2 degrees. Her dissertation is in the Library of Congress. I miss you, Mom. I miss you.
Thank you.
I wrote this out because I followed John's example last week. I doubt if I could get through it without reading it. It would appear that Carol is coming home Tuesday. Having passed all manner of physical, occupational, and speech therapy tests to ensure the fine people at the Larson Pavilion that she is ready to be sprung. I'm lighting this candle for all the nurses, CNAs, other support staff, and all FACE people that helped Carol come back from a brain injury that we both feared would end up with her sitting in a window for the rest of her life. She's not 100% of the old Carol yet, but she gets better every day. Thank you for your healing thoughts.
Thank you, Ed. Thank you.
Hi, I have a joy to share today. For the past 3 years or so, I've been working to bring together the community where I live in Sanibel and Captiva to focus on climate change mitigation through efforts in renewable energy. And tomorrow night, there's a program we've pulled together hosted by the Chamber of Commerce and Sanibel Captiva Conservation Foundation. We have 150 people coming from the community to talk about this focus in Sanibel, including all of the city council members. And I think we're going to get a little start here in Southwest Florida that I'm hoping can be a model for other communities.
Thank you. Thank you. Would anyone like me to bring the microphone to you? I light this final candle for the joys and sorrows that remain silent and in our hearts.
Now, if you would all just take a moment to ground yourself and plant your feet on the floor and take a nice deep breath. Close your eyes for a moment as we turn our hearts and minds to today's service. And now, if you would, please rise and body your spirit as we sing hymn number 123, Spirit of Life. The words are on the back of your order of service.
Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion. Blow in the wind eagle's wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me.
Our opening words this morning are from Elizabeth Mount. To begin, to start, to create, to undertake, to grow, to promise, to increase, to generate. All these are our birthright. As we are created, so may we create. The ability and the choice to create is sacred. To withdraw that chance from any person without their permission would be a violent act, the cutting off of life itself. And yet, as precious is the right to simply not, to end, to terminate, to stop, to discontinue, to rest, to hibernate, to impede, to prevent. These too are our birthright. For without consent, our ability to create becomes not a blessing, but a burden and an imposition. Without space for a no, there can be no trustworthy yes. Today we come to this place and time ready to invoke all that is holy to us, to make space for the sacred, to co-create community once again. This too is a choice. You cannot, you may not be coerced into relationship with one another. And I invite you, I ask you to join us. I respect if you will not today or ever. More sacred than any other individual need is choice. The right to know one's self, the right to know what you are ready for and what you need, to stretch when you can, to pause when you will, to know your body, your mind, your spirit better than anyone else, and ultimately to be trusted with the responsibility of your own living. It is good to be together.
Little baby told God, hey, I'm kinda scared. Don't really know if I wanna go down there. From here it looks like a little blue ball, and that's a great big place. And I'm so small. Why can't I just stay here with you? Did I make you mad? Don't you want me to? And God said, oh child, of course I do. But there's someone special waiting for you. So hush now, baby, don't you cry. 'Cause there's someone down there waiting whose only goal in life is making sure you're always gonna be alright. A loving angel, tender, tough and strong. It's almost time to go and meet your mom. You'll never have a better friend or a warmer touch to tuck you in. She'll kiss your bruises, your bumps and scrapes, and anytime you hurt, her heart's gonna break. So hush now, baby, don't you cry. 'Cause there's someone down there waiting whose only goal in life is making sure you're always gonna be alright. A loving angel, tender, tough and strong. It's almost time to go and meet your mom. Now when she's talking to you, make sure you listen close. She's gonna teach you everything you'll ever need to know. Like how to mind your manners, to love and laugh and dream. And she'll put you on the path into society. So hush now, baby, don't you cry. 'Cause there's someone down there waiting whose only goal in life is making sure you're always gonna be alright. A tender angel, loving strong. Come on, child, it's time to meet your mom.
Today's reading is entitled Your Children by Khalil Gibran. Your children are not your children. They are the sons and daughters of life's longing for itself. They come through you, but not from you. And though they are with you, yet they belong not to you. You may give them your love, but not your thoughts, for they have their own thoughts. You may house their bodies, but not their souls, for their souls dwell in the house of tomorrow, which you cannot visit, even in your dreams. You may strive to be like them, but seek not to make them like you, for life goes not backwards nor tarries with yesterday. You are the bows from which your children, as living arrows, are sent forth. The arch sees the mark upon the path of the infinite, and bends you with might, that the arrows may go swift and far. Let your bending in the archer's hand be for gladness. And now, if you would please rise and body your spirit as we sing together hymn number 181. It's on the words are printed on the back of your order of service.
No matter if you live now far or near, no matter what your weakness or your strength, there is not one alive we count outside. May deeper joy for all now come at length. May deeper joy for all now come at length. Let none among us lie or self-deceive, nor cultivate a hatred all or part. There in them us alive upon our rage, nor wish another injury of heart, nor wish another injury of heart. Just as the goodly mother will protect her children in as risk of her own life, so may we nurture and hold mindfulness, a boundless heart beyond all fear and strife, a boundless stride.
I'm glad it doesn't have 5 verses. But we gather this morning to celebrate the women who have held us to honor mothers, but this is bittersweet because as we gather, women in our nation are at risk of losing freedom. People of color, immigrants, the LGBT community, and others are under attack. Now women. And I wonder who will be next. Mother's Day is a perfect day for us religious liberals to reflect on mothering from our theological viewpoint. We know that motherhood and feminism are perfectly compatible. And we know that same-sex couples can serve as both mothers and fathers to their children. And we know that gender roles are far more fluid than the religious right admits. And we know that love is a central value of our tradition, of our faith. And given all that, I'd like to reflect with you on what mothering means to us religious liberals. I don't know about you, but I find that I have a pretty clear idea of the stereotypical, mother, perfect mother. And I read something from my colleague, the Reverend Dan Harper, last week, who is a New England Unitarian minister. He wrote, "The perfect mother, according to the stereotype that I know best, is warm and welcoming. She was always dressed in an understated but attractive manner. She dispenses freshly baked cookies at the drop of the proverbial hat, and she also dispenses kind and heartfelt wisdom whenever you need it, like it or not." And I suspect that my stereotype of the perfect mother comes from pretty much directly from the television programs I used to watch as a child. And that is the stereotype of the perfect mother that I find lodged into my consciousness. But I know perfectly well that real mothers do not correspond to this stereotype. Take my mother, for example. My mother was a New England Yankee. And by the standards of Yankee culture, she was within the norm of warm and welcoming. And by other standards, she appeared cold, and a little standoffish. And she was more on the prickly end of the mothering spectrum than the cuddly end of the spectrum. She was always sensibly dressed, but she did not dress like those mothers on the television. She dressed like a New England Yankee. And she did bake cookies, but she was far more likely to dispense high ambitions for her children than to dispense cookies. And as for dispensing kind and heartfelt wisdom, this was not something my mother did. Her wisdom was thoughtful, stark, true, and often painful. My mother was not the stereotypical television mother that we are all supposed to dream about, but then whose mother is? And maybe some of us here this morning had stereotypical television mothers, or maybe some of you were in fact that television mother, perfect, wise, and a warm cookie baking mom, and maybe even borrow some of your warmth and wisdom. But every mother is first and foremost a unique human being. And some mothers might be able to be a stereotypical warm, welcoming cookie baking mom, but all mothers are first and foremost their own selves, unique individuals with the unique personal and cultural characteristics that may or may not allow them to fit into that stereotype of the perfect mother. It seems to me that real-life mothers rarely fit the idealized stereotype. And I sometimes find real people who seem to fit most of the characteristics of the ideal stereotypical mom, but not quite all of those characteristics. I know someone who has 5 kids, all adopted from different settings, and all the kids are dearly loved and go off to school and come home, and he's there to fix them a snack and help them with homework. Yes, I said he. He's there to fix them a snack because this is a family with 2 dads. He's far closer to the ideal of the stereotypical mom than my own mother was. Or let me give you another example. I used to work with a guy named Larry, and his mother died when he was quite small. And Larry's father realized that he was a one-woman man. Those were his terms. And so he raised Larry and Larry's brothers and sisters all by himself, serving as both mother and father to the children. Mothering and fathering blending together in that family. For Larry, his father was really the only mother that he remembered. I was raised by my paternal grandmother, not necessarily my birth mother. My grandmother was my mother. And there are lots of women who loved us and held us that were not our mothers. Lots of women that loved us and held us that were not our mothers. And maybe we can begin to come up with a better definition of mothering. Maybe we want to say something like, mothering is a human activity where a caring adult makes sure you're going to survive. And while most mothers are women, there are plenty of men who serve as mothers too. Of course, we know that under a strict technical definition, motherhood is a biological fact related to human beings who can bear children. But remember that some biological women are not able to bear children, yet they too can be mothers. Mothering is a human activity that transcends the biological equipment that an individual may happen to have. So we can say this about mothering as a human activity. Mothering is when a caring adult makes sure a child survives until adulthood. Mothering is most often done by women, but it can be done by others. Mothering and fathering may blend together at times. And there are very few people who are perfect at mothering. Even those moms we see on television make mistakes sometimes. In recent years, I've begun to realize that mothering is not limited to adults who have children in their immediate family. I began to realize that every once in a while, I got mothered by people to whom I was not related. For example, recently I was at a political meeting and I got mothered by someone who is no relation to me. This woman, who is both a mother and a grandmother, greeted me with a big hug, welcomed me, made sure I was comfortable, and then went on to mother someone else. And human beings are essentially social, tribal animals. And under the leadership of the religious conservatives, contemporary American society tries to tell us that the nuclear family with a mom and a dad and 2.5 children is the only place where real mothering can take place. But of course, we know that's complete nonsense. There are many other family structures where good mothering takes place. Extended families where several generations live together, blended families, families with two dads or two moms. And indeed, because we are social, tribal animals, mothering can go on in other human institutions, not just in families. I already told you how I got mothered at a political meeting, but what I particularly like to talk about is how good mothering can go on in congregations. When I was the director of religious education for a Unitarian congregation in Massachusetts, the minister there, a woman, decided to hold a Sunday evening Vesper service, and she got to help. She got me to help her. If you attended one of these Vesper services, the first thing you would notice when you walked in was that all the chairs were in a circle. And once the Vesper services started, you would find that it seemed very much like the worship service we have here on Sunday mornings, listening to readings and singing hymns and lighting a chalice and sharing candles of joy and sorrow and so on. The main difference would be that the sermon might not be a sermon, or it might be a short play, or there might be an activity to go along with the sermon. And if you were very observant, you might notice some other important things. There was always food at these Vesper services. She was a great believer in what she called her ministry of food. My kind of minister. So she always brought lots of delightful and comforting food. And the food was right next to the circle of chairs. And if you arrived early, you could have something to eat and drink and also partake during the service. As a mom and as a feminist, she knew that you have to take care of people's bodies at the same time you take care of their spirits. And there was always a place for children at these services. And as the religious educator, I would make sure there was things for the children to do. And that way, if you wanted to bring your children to the service, they could play quietly as you sat next to them. And this, too, was an idea that came out of her experience as a mom and a feminist. As a feminist, she knew that many Unitarian Universalist congregations have been influenced by the dominant patriarchal culture to think that children are bad. So she fought that by making sure that children were welcomed and seen as good. And as a mom, she wanted to have a service that her 5-year-old son could attend. With all the mothering that went on in these services, she was tapping into an old line of Unitarian thought. Back in the 1870s, a group of women, Unitarian ministers, mostly based in the Midwest, built vibrant congregations around the idea that the congregation is like a home. And these women, who are often called the prophetic sisterhood, felt that when you come into a Unitarian congregation, it should feel like you are coming into someone's house, where you are greeted and welcomed, where your physical needs are acknowledged. And here in our own congregation, where we have absolutely no historical connection to the prophetic sisterhood, we still live out these ideals. Even here in this room, which is far more formal a space than that used by the prophetic sisterhood, we live out these feminist ideals. We acknowledge that people have physical needs. You may notice that lots of people come late to the worship service. And we know the reality is that life is complex for many of us, and we get here when we can get here. And what I think is most important about congregations and mothering, though, is that congregations can be places that support mothers, as we heard in our opening words and in our reading, and support fathers, for that matter. Being a parent is the hardest thing a human being can do. I used to be thin and I used to have hair before I had children. Parents need support. And the nuclear family, so beloved of the religious right, does not provide adequate support. And I am not surprised when I hear the divorce rate among the religious right is higher than those of us. They have all placed their eggs in the nuclear family basket, and it's a pretty fragile basket. And perhaps if you have absolutely the perfect nuclear family with superhumanly talented parents, perhaps then, only then, the nuclear family works. But speaking as a minister, a pastor, I don't know any nuclear families like that. All of the families that I know need far more support than that. And we need lots of other people in our lives, people in our congregation. And to me, this is the most important function of our liberal congregations today. We exist as religious communities in order to support one another, in order to support families, both families with children and all other families as well. And as liberal congregations, we do not place restrictions on who is allowed in our community, our family. Everyone is welcome, no matter what your theology, gender, sexual orientation, family status, gender identity, race, ethnicity, physical or mental ability. We are all welcome. And we try to live out our highest ideal to love our neighbors as ourselves, and we do this without shoving dogma and creeds down your throat. And you can come into a liberal congregation such as ours, bringing your whole self, and you can feel at home. Yes, you may be challenged at times. Yes, we make many mistakes, but our ideal is that you can be part of this community and not have to check part of yourself at the door. And so we welcome all mothers, all of those who have held us, all those who are engaged in the difficult human activity of mothering. We welcome mothers and their children here. We provide support beyond the overstressed nuclear family. And with ongoing vigilance, we make this congregation an emotionally and physically safe place for children, for all those who mother, with many safe and appropriate adult role models. These represent our bedrock moral values. We value all those involved in mothering. We value all those who mother children, and yes, we also value those people who manage to mother adults too. You know who you are. My highest priority for a congregation is that it should be a place that supports mothering of all kinds, freedom of conscience, and all that is all very well, but mothering is where it's at, caring for one another. And when I say mothering, I do not mean what the fundamentalists mean. For me, mothering is not restricted by assigned gender, not restricted by sexual orientation, not restricted by traditional gender identity. There are gay men who are good at mothering, and there are men who do not fit into the standard gender identity who are good at mothering. There are women who are better at fathering than mothering. Nor do I have a stereotype understanding of mothering. Mothering does not need to be cuddly, and given who I am, my sense of mothering is very ambitious for the people being mothered. So let us hold up all those who mother and have held us this morning. May it be so. Joke. Here we go. So a woman gets on the bus with her baby, and the bus driver says, "That's the ugliest baby I've ever seen." And the woman gets very upset, goes to the rear of the bus, and sits down fuming. And she says to the man next to her, "The driver just insulted me." And the man says, "You go right up there and tell him off. Go ahead. I'll hold your monkey for you." The morning offering will now be given and received. It's the best I could get. Was that insulting? It was okay? Yeah. Huh?
He got here red and wrinkled, scared and crying. Then she took him up and held him to her breast. And he sure was glad to get what Mama offered. Then he went to sleep and put his fears to rest. It didn't seem to matter what he needed. He could always count on Mama to supply. And regardless of the sleep she might be losing, he could always find a twinkle in her eye. There ought to be a hall of fame for mamas, creation's most unique and precious pearls. And heaven help us always to remember that the hand that rocks the cradle rules the world. She taught him all the attributes of greatness that she knew she couldn't learn away from home. And by the time she wore the cover of her diary, her hair was gray and her little man was gone. There ought to be a hall of fame for mamas, creation's most unique and precious pearls. And heaven help us always to remember that the hand that rocks the cradle rules the world. There ought to be a hall of fame for mamas, creation's most unique and precious pearls. And heaven help us always to remember remember that the hand that rocks the cradle rules the world. That the hand that rocks the cradle rules the world. That the hand that rocks the cradle rules the world.
We have a Unitarian woman to thank for Mother's Day. The original Mother's Day proclamation in 1870, written by Julia Ward Howe, who was a Unitarian. I would like to share that with you. It explains in her own impassioned words the goals of the original holiday. She wrote, "Arise, all women who have hearts, whether your baptism be that of water or of tears, and say firmly, we will not have great questions decided by irrelevant agencies. Our husbands shall not come to us reeking with carnage for caresses and applause. Our sons shall not be taken from us to unlearn all that we have been able to teach them of charity, mercy, and patience. We women of one country will be too tender of those of another country to allow our sons to be trained to injure theirs." From the bosom of the devastated earth, a voice goes up with our own. It says, "Disarm. The sword is not the balance of justice. Blood does not wipe out dishonor, nor violence indicate possession. And as men have often forsaken the plow and the anvil at the summons of war, let women leave all that may be left of home for a great and earnest day of council. Let them meet first as women to bewail and commemorate the dead. Let them then solemnly take counsel with each other as to the means whereby the great human family can live in peace, each learning after his own time the sacred impress, not of Caesar, but of God. In the name of womanhood and of humanity, I earnestly ask that a General Congress of Women without limit of nationality may be appointed and held at some place deemed most convenient in the earliest period consistent with its objects to promote the alliance of the different nationalities, the amiable settlement of international questions, the great and general interests of peace." Blessed be.
You do it all, you always have. 10 years in, 2 young kids, you wear so many hats. I see you patient, I see you kind, but I see you in a new light. How do you love those kids of mine? And you ask me, do I love you like I did at 24? And I just laugh because I don't know. I love you more. You're a giver, you're a lover, you're a friend, you're a fighter, fighting for this love to win. So many roles that you cover, and you play them like no other. But I think that I love you the most when I watch you be a mother. When I watch you be a mother. Your white shirts have all got stains. Whether hauling kids or healing wounds, you spin so many plates. How do you do it? I just don't know. But there's a million ways your love and grace makes our house feel like home. And if you say that you don't look quite like you did at 24, but if I'm honest right now, I love you even more. You're a giver, you're a lover, you're a friend, you're a fighter, fighting for this love to win. So many roles that you cover, and you play them like no other. But I think that I love you the most when I watch you be a mother. When I see the way you cover them with prayer from your knees, I see the way you lift them up above your very needs. And I see the sacrifices 'cause you love them like no other. I can't take my eyes off of you when I watch you be a mother. You're a giver, you're a lover, you're a friend, you're a fighter, fighting for this love to win so many roles that you cover and you play them like no other. But I think that I love you the most when I watch you be a mother. You're a giver, you're a lover, you're a friend, you're a fighter, fighting for this love to win so many roles that you cover and you play 'em like no other. But I think that I love you the most when I watch you be a mother. When I watch you be a mother. When I watch you be a mother. A mother.
Thank you, Carlos. We'd like to thank Reverend CJ for his message today and Carlos for his gift of music. Thank you to Kathy Fanny for taking care of our children and youth program, Sharon Gray on recording, and Ed Elrod on sound, and our sexton, Joe Gayton. And I'd like to also thank Joyce Schaefer for bringing the beautiful roses today for our service, and all of our greeters and everyone who makes the service possible today. So now, if Wheezy would come up to extinguish the chalice, if you would repeat the words in your order of service. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts and out into the world. So go now in peace. Happy Mother's Day, and thank you for everyone who's going to show up next Saturday with rakes and rags to clean the church.